I actually did my wedding on my makeup day. Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am super excited to be doing a bridal tutorial. I had quite a few different family members and friends request that I did this on my channel. I actually did my makeup on my wedding day. I'm going to be using mostly the products that I used for that, but I don't quite remember which eyeshadow palette I used. It was pretty hectic that day, so I'm going to give a couple different options of great bridal palettes if you're planning to do your own makeup or want to suggest maybe to your makeup artist what you want to use. Before we get started in today's video, I would just like to introduce myself if you don't already know. My name's Sam. I would love it if you subscribe down below and hit the bell button to be notified of all my future uploads. Leave a like if you enjoy the content. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, to start, I am going to grab just a handy dandy clip and clip my hair out of my face. It is super humid today here in Maine, so my curls are already getting super frizzy. My chest is red. It's a great look. I already wet my sponge. This is just, I think, one of the e.l.f. ones. It's only like a few dollars at most of your local drugstores. So to start, we are going to prime the face. So for me, I like a very dewy kind of finish to my skin. So because I'm going to be using more of a natural to matte foundation, I'm going to use this. This is what I used to prime on my wedding day, and it did work great underneath my foundation. I kind of just put it all over the skin, and I do blend out with the Beauty Blender. I like to put all my face products onto my eyelids as well to kind of help mask any of that redness, the veins. I have very thin eyelids, so it shows most of my veins if I don't. So if you can see, that just leaves a very, very, very nice glow to the skin. Sorry, my dog is freaking out. There's probably someone here, or my husband went outside. Who knows? The next product we're going to do is go in with our foundation. I actually used the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. It's a medium to full coverage foundation. It's supposed to leave more of like a natural skin-like finish. I don't think I'm going to use this today though, because it is very light for me, but I did want to mention this is like a great foundation for your wedding day. It really held my makeup on my face all day long. So today I'm just going to go in with my Loreal True Match Lumi Healthy Luminous Makeup Foundation. That's a mouthful. I'm going to go right in with a pump on either side and start to blend this all over the skin. So with your foundation for your wedding day, you definitely don't want to be using anything that you have not used a ton before. You want to really know that that product is going to stay on the skin all day, that it's going to give you the coverage that you're going to need, how it's going to wear throughout the day, because some foundations can oxidize on different skin types, just as well as look cakey on different skin types and all of that. So a little bit more. So you really want to make sure to know that it's going to last, how it's going to wear, all that. And also a huge thing is to always take pictures of yourself outside, because you want to make sure that that foundation is going to look good outside. You want to take pictures of it with flash on, without flash on. Kind of dragging that down my neck. Might have to conceal some of that redness too. Yeah, but you want to make sure that it's not going to give you a flashback, as well as any of your other products. So I really suggest, especially if you're doing your own makeup, to try the products on your skin quite a few different times. So you really are, sure of how they're going to wear. Just going to match this down my neck. The one thing about this foundation compared to my one that I wore on my wedding day. I need a lot more product to build up on my skin to match, to cover all that redness. Big piece of that is because this is a dewy finish foundation where the other one's more of like a natural skin finish, and a matte finish will typically cover a little bit better too. This one claims to be doesn't say. I'll have to look it up and see what the coverage claims are. I'll leave them in the description below. So that looks pretty good. So the next piece is concealing, and you want to make sure that you're concealing any blemishes. Like right now I don't really have a whole lot of breakouts on my face. I just have dark circles from being a mom and not sleeping. So I like to go for kind of a brighter finished under eye concealer. I'm again using the e.l.f. Camo. I did get a little bit darker of a shade. I bring that down the high points of my face as well to kind of highlight and brighten my whole face. So hopefully the shade's a little better. Yeah, that looks a little bit not as scary highlight and bright. It looks really, really good in person. On camera it kind of looks washed out a little bit, but this is a full coverage long wear concealer as well, which is something I definitely recommend for your wedding day. You don't want to be worrying about your makeup lasting all day. You want your pictures that are going to be taken from start to end to look great. And honestly, you know, people will be taking pictures of you a lot of times. Like with the guests, I noticed, I'm just gonna, while I talk about this, set my under eye concealer. This is the Covergirl Trublend Minerals Loose Mineral Powder in Banana. I like a little highlighted look to my under eyes, so I'm gonna use this to kind of set that in place. This is a great dupe for the Fenty Butter Bronzer, or Butter Powder that she came out with. It works pretty much the same, and it's a fraction of the cost. So the one thing about this powder though that's kind of a bummer is it doesn't have a sifter, so it makes a ton of a mess, and it's really easy to get too much powder into your cat. Also taking this powder on all those high points of my face. So all these products so far, aside from the foundation, but the one I actually talked about and recommended, those are all the products that I used on my wedding day. And I can tell you that I did my makeup around noon, 11:30, and my face makeup anyways. And my face makeup lasts till 12:30 at night. It was still there and looked great. So I'm gonna now set my face, the rest of my face, with my Too Faced Cocoa powder that I showed in one of my last videos. This has been a holy grail powder for me for years. I wear it on all those no makeup days. I wore it all through college. I used to wear it to work. I've never really been a huge foundation girl because I have such a hard time matching myself. But this powder doesn't make me look cakey or dusty. It just really airbrushes my skin and makes everything look perfect, which is exactly what you want. We're now gonna move on to doing a little contour. I'm gonna use the Hoola Light bronzer, maybe a little touch of the regular Hoola. I swear by these for contour. A lot of people like them for bronzer. For me, I like something a little bit more shimmery and a little warmer on my skin, but these are great in my opinion for contour. So a little down my nose. Like I said, I'm not the best with nose contour, so definitely don't take any tips from me here. Just being honest. But with contouring your cheeks, so you can see my natural cheekbones there. You want to go down at a downward angle and kind of towards your mouth, leaving off about halfway maybe of your cheek, and just blend and see the difference between the cheekbones. That side doesn't look as round as this side does. It really makes a huge difference. And if you go a little crazy like this side kind of did for me, take your powder brush, try to blend those edges of the bottom. You can also, I kind of have a little bit of leftover of my highlighting powder to kind of help make those edges not quite as sharp. So now we're going to jump into our brows. I'm going to use the Covergirl Ultra Fine Brow Pencil. I did not use this on my wedding day. I think I used a powder. And going back, I think I would have used a pencil. I just at that time didn't really have one that I liked all that much. I was using more of the powder and the Instant that I used to set my brows in place after in the last couple of videos. It's all personal preference of what you like for brows and what you know is going to last on you. The key is with your wedding makeup is to make sure that everything looks as good as when you first start to when you end your night. You want everything to look great the whole night through. You don't want your makeup wearing off and everyone knowing that you put on a full-faced mask. You want it to look, in my opinion, I think wedding makeup is, you know, it's supposed to be timeless, it's supposed to be elegant, it's supposed to be a little bit more natural looking, not necessarily natural because obviously you're going to cover up those imperfections, but you want it to not look like you're wearing a ton of makeup, but you want to look beautiful. And like I said, timeless, I think that's huge too. Like instead of doing a bunch of, I mean, you can do whatever you want, obviously, but for me personally, I think that the timeless look of just things that are beautiful kind of always are great for wedding photos. That way when you look back, you know, when you're 20 years from there, 30 years from now, showing your pictures of your wedding to your grandchildren, things weren't just trendy like a, you know, rainbow eye or really colorful lower lash line, or, you know, especially your brows. I would definitely follow your natural brows rather than doing like trends, because trends with brows just come and go of like whether you want a really shaped brow, you want a bushy brow, you want more fluffy brows or more thinned out brows. Like that changes so frequently. I think it's really important to kind of follow what your natural brow is doing. So if you can see, that is what the humidity does to my hair, and I hate it. It gets so frizzy so quickly. So if anyone has any recommendations for products to help with frizziness in your hair, leave them down below. I would love to hear about that. Also, leave a comment down below if you are getting married, or if you are married, if you did your own makeup, if you had someone else do yours. What you plan to do when you do get married. I would love to hear. I really always thought that I would get my makeup done by someone, but I don't know, I had a trial and they did do beautiful. It was gorgeous. All my bridesmaids used them to do their hair and makeup and it was absolutely gorgeous. I just like the way I do my makeup, and I was so stressful thinking of having someone else do my makeup that honestly I just had to do it. So now let me find So now I'm going to conceal on my eyelids to kind of use as a eyeshadow primer. I am not sure where mine went. My daughter kind of comes in here sometimes, so totally should have been her messing around. Just gonna blend that out on my lids. I definitely have to conceal because without concealing you can kind of tell right there, even with the foundation and stuff, my eyelids are very veiny, and sometimes when I go for like a lighter look or even some natural shades, those veins will really show up through. But that concealer does a pretty good job of hiding them. So now's the fun part. I'm going to show you 4 different options for eyeshadow palettes in all different price points that you can use to achieve a beautiful, neutral toned, natural, glam, light makeup look with your eyeshadows. So the first palette that came to mind when I thought of bridal was the Sockland by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It has these beautiful shimmers, mattes, light to dark. You can really amp it up or keep it really, really light and soft. It is absolutely gorgeous. We'll do a couple swatches of these beautiful shades. Yeah, it is just stunning palette. I think this has been one of my everyday palettes for years. Kind of in the similar price point, you have the Lorac Pro 3 palette. It has those beautiful rosy kind of neutrals that look great for wedding makeup. These shimmers in here are bomb. The mattes are bomb. It really is just an outstanding palette to have in your collection regardless. My favorite brand ever, Colourpop, the Bare Necessities palette. It is a gorgeous, how many shades are in here? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 30 shade palette. Has a great array of light shades, dark shades, matte shimmers, really foiled looking shadows. It gives you kind of that rosy toned, romantic shades, the more dark and smoky shades, a little bit of warm, a little bit of cool, a little bit of neutral. It really gives you everything that you could possibly need. It even has that nice black and a nice light cream. It's gorgeous. And then also a newer palette. It's not my favorite with the darker colors for, can I talk? It's not the best for the darker shades for the quality per se, but it does work. And if you're willing to work with it, it really can give you some nice, beautiful looks. It's the e.l.f. New Classics look that I used in a couple of videos back. It also kind of has the same type of thing. It has those nice lighter shades, nice darker shades. It does have a couple pops of color. It does have a little bit more unique shimmer shades to throw on that lid, but it gives you everything you need to create a beautiful bridal look. So now, what am I going to pick? I think I am going to do the Bare Necessities palette from Colourpop today. So we're going to start by grabbing a nice big fluffy brush and kind of taking this in the buff shade to throw into our crease and upper crease to kind of start giving that transition shade in there. I also think what's nice about bridal looks is everybody can have a different interpretation of what they think is beautiful in bridal, and there's so many different varieties and things that you can do to really make yourself look gorgeous on your wedding day. I had a fall wedding. It was September 21st, almost a year ago, and I did more of like a darker nude lip. I mean, it was still definitely nude, but it was a little bit darker and more purple undertoned. And I did kind of the same color story throughout my eyes. I did very neutrals, but I had a little bit of that purple undertone kind of going all through them. So this color is kind of to help set that concealer down on your lids, as well as just add a neutral pop through the crease. I'm going to now amp it up just a shade darker with this On Holiday color, same blending brush, and throw that kind of in the same areas. Keeping everything nice and light and very well blended. So take your time on this step. I remember when I did my makeup, so my daughter, we co-sleep, and my mother-in-law was trying to get her down for a nap in the other room. And it was a very busy day for Ember. It was a lot going on. There was a lot of new things. She's a very shy girl. So that was already a lot for her. Kind of all these people in and out of my house. All my bridesmaids were getting ready. My mother, my mom, my mother-in-law, my sister. Like there was tons of people kind of going in and out. We're going to amp it up with this shade to keep it a little bit more neutral rather than going cool. This is Hot Gossip. I'm going to use the same blender brush. Keeping this more directly in your crease rather than going up so high. these colors are having a little bit of kickback, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I actually quite like their eyeshadow formula. I think it's gorgeous. It blends really easily and effortlessly. It helps me look like I'm better at makeup most days than I am. I think I just want a little bit. So we're using a nice big fluffy brush. This one is still very fluffy, but a little more firm and a little more domed. I'm going to kind of try to pack this color in the crease a little bit more. See, there we go. Sometimes too, it's not necessarily the shade and the pigmentation, it's the brush that you're using and what you're trying to do with it can make a huge difference. But yeah, so my mother-in-law was trying to get Ember down. She was having a really hard time. I had most of my face done. I basically just had to do my eyes and my lips. So she was having a hard time. I went out, I tried to give Ember a nap. She slept for like 40 minutes. So then when I came out, I was kind of rushing to get my makeup done. And I didn't really have a palette picked out. I had a couple that I was thinking about using, but nothing set in stone. So I can't even remember now what I used. I think I used it, the Makeup Geek in the nude palette, which I used in my last video. But honestly, I don't know. And these neutrals could give me the same type of effect. So we're now going to start working on that outer corner. I'm going to grab kind of an angled fluffy brush. And maybe we're gonna go with this brown tabloid right there. And we're gonna kind of, because I want this to be a little lighter. Got a little too much of my brush. So we're kind of just going to keep it down towards our lash line and up a little into the crease and upper crease. And kind of building slowly and packing that color in that area. Let's go back in with that first blending brush and kind of getting the edges. See how effortlessly those shadows blend? It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to continue to do that until I think it is smoky enough to my preference. Like I said, it is wedding makeup, so for me, I think it should stay a little bit lighter. But still visible, just not going too crazy. So yeah, I ended up being like a half an hour late to my wedding, and it was just fine. Too bad for those people in the audience, which most of you are watching my videos, because it was hot that day. I'm gonna kind of just build up this color to where I want it and then really work on blending. But I do want it to be quite smoky and just, like I said, timeless and gorgeous in these neutral tones. Give it all of that without being too overwhelming and too much on the eyes to kind of, you know, because you want your dress to be the main focus. You want your makeup to complement you, but you want everyone to be looking at your dress and thinking about that at the end of the day. So I'm now going to grab kind of a, let me find one. So kind of an angled brush like this, and grab this Taboo shade and kind of use it as a liner on that upper. And we're gonna go back in and kind of smoke that out just a smidge. So it's very light, but very pretty. Kind of fix. Not sure what was on that brush. It should be clean, but something was on it because it kind of messed with that color. So I'm just kind of blending that a little bit. I don't want it to be anything too dramatic, just very soft, very light. Also having, kind of weird, I don't know what's going on, but I haven't put anything on my lower lash line. There was nothing there to start, but doing that color kind of translated down and a little fallout under my eye. So I don't know what was wrong there, but easily fixed, no big deal. So I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side, and I will be right back. So now that we kind of have that smokiness that we want, that's pretty much where we want it to be, and you're basically done with the eyes. Give a little blendy blend, and you're good. So we'll come back in a minute to that. I'm not sure which shimmer shade I want. Isn't that always my struggle? So now we're gonna kind of finish up our base. I always say kinda a lot in these videos. I've never realized in real life how much I say kinda, and I don't even know that I do. But in these videos, I say it every other word, which is really annoying in editing, so I do apologize for that if anyone gets annoyed with that. So kind of bronzing up the skin, the same place that we used the contour. Throwing that down our neck, on our chest. And down our nose a little bit. And we're going to use the Too Faced Papa Don't Peach blush. I used this and that bronzer combo actually on my wedding day, and they're stunning. I like a blush that also has a little bit of a sheen to it. I do like matte blushes too, but on my wedding day I tend to be more of like a dry gal, so I definitely didn't want to use too many matte products that can tend to make me look just kind of dry and crusty, and I didn't want that for my wedding day. I wanted to look obviously beautiful, like any bride. So now we are deemed to make the decision about our shimmer shade, and if we want to, this is very smoldery and kind of sexy in real life. It almost gives me like those foxy eyes vibes, which I'm digging. I'm digging the way it elongates and cat eyes my eye, if you can see that there. So I was originally kind of wanting to do something with this shade, but I just think it's too dark. That's a Colourpop eyeshadow. So I think we're just going to stick with good old basics here. Let's see what we've got going on my desk. So I'm going to spray a little Fix Plus on my brush to help give that boiled effect to the shade, which these already have. I think I'm gonna mix, here, let me look. So I'm gonna use from the Soft Glam palette today. You could use something from in there. I just am feeling extra. So I'm gonna use this glistening shade and pop that on the inner 2/3 of, I'm kind of patting because I don't want it to be too much. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Stunning. Love, love that. And I usually, when I apply shimmers, like to go back in with my blending brush, let a little bit of that fall to make it look a little bit more seamless and blended together. It's all preference though, but that's what I do. I'm also gonna throw, because it's a little bit more gold than I want it to be, I'm gonna throw this Silk Teddy shade just on my finger and kind of pat it right over to give more of that champagne neutral based rather than gold, which kind of makes it lean a little bit more warm. And I want this to stay very neutral. See, that was the shade I should have done to begin with, which is what I thought I was going to do, and then I slowly ditched out on that plan. So I'm going to put Idle Hour, this first, on my inner corner. Nothing too intense. We get very close to that inner corner. And then below the brow, mixed with a little of the Full Expose, which I'll show you in a minute. It's just the matte shade below, because I don't want it to be too intense. I want it to be there, but not too much, if that makes any sense at all, like it does in my brain. So that kind of gives a nice toned down version of that shade. It is very gorgeous, just didn't want it to be too much. This was the Full Expose shade. So now I'm going to buff the Hot Gossip shade and that On Holiday shade underneath my lower lash line to keep it a little bit more subdued, keeping it pretty close to my lashes. Grabbing the pencil brush, I'm going to use one of the color cleaner things. They're these. You can just swirl your brush for a quick color change on a brush and just kind of smudge that very low, or very close to my lower lash line, not taking it down too far. And there. That is our eye look. It's all coming together and it is so much more beautiful than anything I did on my wedding day. And I should have done this. Very, very stunning. So I'm going to apply lashes, mascara, and eyeliner, and I'll be right back. So now we're back. We have our lashes on. I used the Ardell Double Wispies and the Duo Clear Brush On Lash Glue. This is totally a secret to applying lashes. This is so helpful. I used my trusty Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara on my upper and lower lashes, and the Colourpop Cream Gel Liner in Swerve on my tight line and on my waterline. So next we're going to finish off our face with some highlighter. We're going to use the Pixi by Petra Delicate Dew highlighter. I kind of just swirl my brush in both shades. And we're going to go for more of like a natural-ish kind of glow. If you can see that there, it's very pretty. Might be able to see it a little better on this one. Little above the Cupid's bow, kind of do me up. Okay. And now we're gonna finish off the lips. So we're gonna use the Kylie Cosmetics lip liner in Bare. It's a nice, like, almost like a nudie pink. So we're gonna outline. Kind of smudging it in. So on my wedding day, I chose more of like a almost like cream finished lipstick. This isn't the lipstick that I used on my wedding day that I'm going to use today. It's the one that I should have. But because of that, I filled in my lips with the lip liner because the lip liner is going to hold a little bit better on the lips. And it'll be there even when your creamy lipstick wears off. So it kind of helps you save having to reapply throughout your wedding night because, you know, no one has time for that and you're not thinking about that. So we're going to go in with the Jacqueline Cosmetics Perfectionist lipstick. Here, let me swatch. I have two of them by this line. I think I thought that this was the other one. So this one is Sophia. That one's a little bit more nudie. I want to use this Sophia. So now we're going to finish off by setting our face with a long-lasting setting spray. I use the Smashbox Primer Water. This is what I used on my wedding day, and it really does help refresh. It soaks up any of the excess powders on your face. I spray a ton. And it's going to help your makeup last all night, which is what you want for your wedding day. So this is the final product of our wedding makeup. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos. I will be having a lash tutorial coming up next of how to apply strip lashes and a couple declutters and organizing my collection to get a sneak peek of what I have. I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys.